not fucking trying with you.
What did you just say?
You're so misogynistic.
You said a minute ago insecurity. At least you admit you're insecure. I love it.
Oh, I never said I'm insecure. You are. You baby, this is one woman that doesn't give a fuck about what you think.
So the best part about
this is one person that
you literally just said you go into attack.
No, you just said something about me. No, when you're saying something about me, I'm responding. See, you're not that smart.
No,
because if you say something about somebody, expect them to respond, right?
You don't say a fucking word. You don't let somebody finish. I was going to try to tell you that China fucking terrorist us first. They started
I heard that 3 times already.
Yep. You can't fuck with them.
No, I already heard that, and I said you can do sanctions, you can do whatever, you can put people on entity lists, but what you can't do is I don't think the tariffs are something that is healthy. Go ahead. I'm sorry to continue to talk, James.
No, I was just curious. So China put tariffs on us first. So you don't think retaliation tariffs are a good thing?
I don't think retaliation tariffs are a good thing. They create an inefficiency, and even though there's the Taft-Hartley tariffs that happened in 1929, early 30s, that dipped the American economy. Whether there's a direct causal relationship remains to be debated, but that dipped us into the Great Recession along with the stock market crash and then the retaliatory tariffs during that time period. So you got to be careful in the balance of the economy. When you have a devaluing dollar and you have tariffs hitting back and forth, and then you have a very volatile way that you don't know, you have declining employment and other risks that are out there. You don't want to tip whatever the situation is, our economy into a recession or depression, right?
Yeah.
So
another question.
Yeah, China. Well, let me respond to the China question. Like I said, it is not efficient to hit tariffs because in the end, our citizens as a democracy pay. Now, I don't know what China does to its citizens. I don't think they even give, no, actually I do know. They don't give their citizen choices as elaborate as we do. So when our citizens go to the market and they go to Walmart or they go to Target or they go to any other consumer retail store that is at a bargain price, right? When you get tariffs, it hits them. So that $12,000 that William was willing to pay at one point, our average American citizen can't pay that. And that's what we have to be reflective on.
No, I understand where you're coming from there, but I got another question for you. So you understand that if China produces a lot of stuff that we need, manufactures a lot of stuff that we need, right? And if they ever went to attack Taiwan, we would be at war with China. How would that impact our manufacturing needs at that point?
Name what we automatically have to get from China. We have
a lot of our medication.
We cannot. I'm just saying what.
A lot of our medication that we get from China.
We can get our medications also from Netherlands and Europe, right?
Yeah,
but that's the point. That Netherlands, Europe, they're also giving up their manufacturing to China.
But that's why I said to you. Okay, but Hanson, that's where I said to you, you can't pick a fight with everybody because when we do these worldwide tariffs, we're picking. See, the logic doesn't make sense. We're picking on 139 countries. But yet, I'm just throwing that number out there. I think it's significantly less, but it's still high up there. We're picking on random countries, but see, all they have to do is pick on one United States. Yeah. So the odds of what was putting in the damage is greater on us than the other way around.
Not necessarily. Just because the number of countries. If there are a number of countries, the size of the economy is much less than the U.S.
But it would depend. Yeah, but it would.
So I'm saying that your evidence is using the premises, the number of countries. That's not the relevant quantity here. It's the size of the economy.
The size of the economy. True, yes. But then that means United States, being as large as we are, shouldn't have to pick on the small ones. But when we're the small ones, if the United States is not largely their export partner. But when you begin to raise tariffs in countries that the United States is not their number one partner, you're creating friction that doesn't exist. So when the United States went and said, "Oh, I'm going to now do Vietnam, and I'm now going to do Malaysia," you know, a lot of the trading partners weren't necessarily the United States. They had large partnerships and trades with China. You are now causing a friction where, you know, United States citizens, where we had essential goods coming from Vietnam or Malaysia or even Singapore, now have to consider, let me see if I can find another outlet for my product that now the United States has become very unfriendly towards me. The trade agreement that we negotiated about a year ago or 3 years ago, even when someone had brought up in our argument the USMC, which is form of NAFTA, right? We negotiated that. Trump actually negotiated that in his first term. Now he blew up those terms and those conditions in those trade agreements. So by putting tariffs, you're now not only causing harm to our word as a country, because we're inconsistent with our trade agreements, because that's what it is. It's an agreement. Now we're now going to levy tariffs against you. Shows that you're inconsistent and I can't trust you. So it's best to find reliable partners. And the one thing that the market doesn't like is uncertainty. So people begin to move they don't want to bank their money against the US dollar. They start looking at gold reserves, and the petrodollar becomes weak.
So the premise is wrong, because the previous premise is that if we're on the same playing field and people can make their choices, the thing is, we are the most open market by far.
Combat Zionism, the final stages of Zionism
in the world, and China is not the open market. And precisely where we have the trade friction with China is precisely
late stage Zionism.
They reneged on you talk about the trade deals, and they reneged on the biggest trade deal, WTO, and it's reneged on with China, with America, and with Europe, and everybody, and then also Europeans are also reneging on their trade deals because they're erecting the trade barriers, and so we're just pointing out this deficiency, to say the least, if not the renegation on the trade deals on their part, and we're just saying, well, here's the medicine. You brew it for yourself. Take a sip of your own medicine and see what it tastes like. And if you don't do that, then we're going to renege just the same. And either you break the trade deal with us, or you mend your own behavior. And that's the purpose of this you can say friction or whatever. It's because they erected the barrier and they broke the treaty.
Operation Combat Zionism, late stage Zionism, part of the New World Order, trade craft.
I don't
NAFTA.
This is like game theoretic tactic.
Benjamin Netanyahu 2060-55 Cyborg Edition.
Free trade agreement.
Okay. I disagree. First of all, when you said that U.S. is the most open market, it depends on how we define open. If we look at open in terms of zero, one moment.
No tariffs.
Then Singapore has 0 to no tariffs. It's extremely low in its regulatory barriers. Then you have Switzerland.
European Union, right? And we were talking about
I'm just Union. Ireland has a low tariff. Ireland has no tariffs.
It's just had an abortion.
Right? They're part of the EU, not England, not the United Kingdom. I'm talking Ireland.
Union as a whole. Like Germany,
I'm considered a late stage abortion in the Democrat community.
Because they didn't Brexit, right?
Late stage.
Ireland is a small country.
But what I'm saying is, openness can be defined, and United States
I'm not
oftentimes
Jewish.
is not ranked
I'm a
as the largest in openness. But nevertheless, going back to the original argument on if they did it first, therefore we're doing it retaliation. When you have an agreement, they did not break the agreement. It wasn't into the, and I'm not saying who's right and wrong. Again.
First thing is the agreements were unbalanced in the first place.
Okay, so now you're going to revise it and say it was unbalanced. Okay.
Tariffs, not only higher tariffs, but also they had the non-tariff trade barriers, left and right, the obvious covert and overt trade barriers.
But we have sanctions, right? And we're driving all the Wassenaar and all these other countries to comply with U.S. So we have sanctions. So just because they have trade barriers, we can put sanctions up against them. Like we do with Iran. So we still use certain tools.
You want to hurt the people in foreign
It's not kosher.
countries.
I'm just saying.
It's not kosher.
Sanctions are brutal.
Shema Yisrael
Well,
Adonai
tariffs are
Eloheinu
not friendly
Adonai
either, and it's
Echad.
important for those countries that are relying largely on
Actually,
that.
tariff is more. I mean, first of all, we don't.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
I mean, covert and overt
Ribono Shel Olam.
policies, and this is probably the.
There are followers
the
of the
only
Rebbe who
open,
say
tools we
Ribono
have
Shel
to
Olam is extremely useful. Ribono Shel
whether
Olam.
it's foe or friends behavior.
We
They
have
say
other
it's good
tools
for the
besides
blood
tariffs.
pressure.
It's basically economic statecraft, right?
I've been silent for 15 minutes. But
Greater Israel.
Sanctions and tariffs.
No, sanction. What I say is, I leverage. If I
We're
am
listening to
dealing with
a San
harsh
Francisco
country,
State
and I
University
told you this
law
already,
professor and
I said it
Google
earlier, I
employee
would leverage sanctions.
talking nonstop for hours. Everybody's given up over the past couple hours. She's undefeated.
That's what we've done for years with Cuba.
She's got incredible resiliency and spirit.
That's what we did with Venezuela. That's what we do with North Korea. That's what we do. Tariffs are again a tax to our citizens. I'm going to be consistent. It's a tax to our
Your
consumers.
love for me burns deep. How deep? Prove it.
And EU.
You know what we've done with China? We put a lot of the companies that we feel that are bad actors or entities that act in a certain way, we put them on an entity list in the United States.
Sure, but that's just
so an entity list tells us that we are not going to do business. It doesn't mean, or we limit your business, or we limit what you're able to export into our country. If we also have problems with a certain entity, we have countervailances tax or anti-dumping laws, so that if we feel that someone is undermining our ability to, or importing stuff that we feel is an unfair or imbalanced trade, we will hit them with countervailance or anti-dumping laws, so that they don't dump and put our businesses out of, our companies out of business. No, it's very
Boycott
different.
and divest
Anti-dumping
the
and tariffs
Zionists.
Very different.
Never.
Because it's also industry specific, and it stops people and companies from dumping and putting U.S. companies out of business. And it's targeting tariffs.
Benjamin Netanyahu, 2065 Cyborg Edition.
So did we still
There's
get
a lot
some
of
steel
importers.
coming in when we did that? Or does it prevent all of the products from coming
We
in?
have,
Lower back.
actually, we have
Pain
anti-dumping
free.
laws for U.S.
Yeah,
steel.
and what you're saying
So
is
that
stop
Canadian steel or
all of
China
the
steel.
products from coming in?
Power of the
Does it
salad.
prevent
Rabboni
all
Shalom.
products from coming in?
Rabboni Shalom. Get your tickets for your local Purim Chabad festival soon. Rabboni
It's
Shalom.
not a tariff.
You're missing the
You may have
point.
missed the early bird special, but it's never too
You
late.
see the
Rabboni
difference?
Shalom.
Now, anti-dumping
Nation
hits the
status,
companies.
which is the
Anti-dumping.
only incentive we have. You're not even smart enough to be making your own
I
argument.
know, I'm actually very smart
For
for the
somebody
I don't need your validation. You're the one without the degrees, and you're the one. I don't care. I don't need to worry.
Dumping or the sanction on a particular company
Well,
applies.
counterbalance. I said
to
counterbalance.
when, one company or two company does the backup.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. But
Exactly.
the thing is, what if the whole country has a policy of doing the same for all companies? What are you going to do? Of course, you can do, well, all your companies, yes, we can do the tier one, the sanctions on every company, but how's that different from a tariff?
It is different because, again, it's specific to an industry. It's
Yes, I
specific,
understand, but I'm just saying that the whole,
and it's different from a tariff because the difference.
Sanction
There are followers of the Rebbe who say Rabboni Shalom is extremely useful to say. Rabboni
100,000
Shalom.
companies in this industry all doing the same thing because they're under the same policy of the government, and doing the same thing. It's a uniform same thing. Of course, you can apply the 301
Countervailance
to all
Countervailance.
companies. How is that different from this sanctioning the whole industry?
Because it is very different. Because again, when you sanction a company, it impacts the company that is the bad actor. But when you do a tariff, it does not tariff the country. The country's upset about it, but in the end, when you have a price markup, let's say I do I charge $1,000 for an iPhone. What you're looking at is that it's the consumers that are importing that the importer that is now John. Let me finish, John Schmo. Cell phone has to now import a whole bunch of boxes. I am. I said that's the difference. I did say no, I'm not. Dude,
Listen to his question.
And I said the difference is that the consumer pays. Are you a dumbass? The consumer pays versus the company. The company is
Our followers of the rebel who say Rabbanu Shalom is extremely useful to say 1,000 times a day Rabbanu Shalom.
Sale price can raise its price, so it's it can do both ways.
Rabbanu Shalom, Rabbanu Shalom. It's a Jewish mantra. You just repeat it over and over again. So when you hear people like this who can't stop talking, it's a mantra. So you don't have to sit there and think all the time. You can just say Rabbanu Shalom. Ribbana Shalom, Ribbana Shalom, Ribbana Shalom.
Is doing the same thing. Are you going to pinpoint every company of this industry, or are you going to sanction the whole industry? What's the difference?
Well, in the 301 section, to be very clear, so I can make sure that everybody understands, that's an industry specific, right? So it authorizes the president to adjust the imports, right? So when you're talking about that, and that's basically reciprocal tariffs that apply to fentanyl or anything that is dangerous that comes into the country to prevent the importing of it. See, that's different than the blanket tariffs that were applied to a country, right? I'm not, and then
Hello?
I never said.
Let's say if we.
It is different because there's the IEEPA tariffs.
Answer my question. Let me restate my question. So let's say we focus on one industry before we focus on the whole country, and on one industry. So the one option is to apply a tariff, or whatever you say, to the whole industry of this country, and the other one is using Section 301 to apply to every company of this industry. And what is the difference?
There's actually a big difference because I think you're misunderstanding the 301 section. When you're doing a specific country, because you're penalizing them, tariffs will not necessarily be the best solution. You might as well block them if you don't want to do business with them, or your trade agreement with them, right? To limit what they're allowed to import into the country. So no. So when you're doing a tariff specific, the intent of a tariff is to either penalize that industry, which is the case of the Section 301 tariffs, which deals with the product like the fentanyl, which is encouraged. I believe the blanket tariffs, like I said, and I'm not changing or deviating, is a hazard to our citizens. That is it. Now, if you're trying to protect an industry, I did answer the question. So you guys don't like the answer. Now you don't like the answer because you're not smart enough to read the answer to understand. You don't understand it. So you don't know your difference between the 301 and what's the 301? You can, yes.
Right. Okay. So what I'm saying is, when you try to do sanction on the foreign industry, one option is to apply a blanket
For national security reasons, yes. If it's a national
Yeah,
security.
for whatever reason. But we're just trying to see the difference, right? So and then so now we decided that this industry is applying the same uniform.
This is an Iranian flute. I think it's called the duduk or something. Duduk. I don't know. It's very hard to play.
One option.
It's basically like a vibration flute.
To the whole industry.
It's pretty dope.
Pinpoint companies and
Sikhiznay.
And when we have determined that every company in this industry is doing the same harm to the U.S., one option is a blanket. The other option is apply individual penalty for every company in this industry. So what's the difference?
Well, what's the difference? This is where I wanted to make sure you're clear. I said the blanket tariffs. I'm going to go back because there is a difference. The blanket tariffs, which were the IEPAs, which is what Trump did on Tariff Liberation Day, right? That is not okay. But the difference between the sanctions that I would do in place would be for national security reasons. If it's an industry is causing a harm, which is similar to a Section 301. It's actually Section 232, where there is a national security threat. So if fentanyl is coming across the border, or our lumber industry is in peril, or steel is in peril, then the tariffs are justifiable only in that term because you're trying, or you lose countervailance or anti-dumping laws to prevent that. But that is a choice for tariffs at that point, which is Section 322. That's the difference, right? The difference is A, national security reasons,
Very hard to play,
or the authority, which is 301 for unfair practices. That is very limiting and is not going to benefit because, again, that's where you target a specific country. That's the difference. No, I wouldn't do a blanket. The difference is like blanket tariffs.
National security or unfair practice and sanctions on all companies.
Okay, sanctions don't levy a financial penalty per se to the importer.
So
right?
sanctions being
The sanctions.
doing no business.
Yeah, yeah, that's the best way to say it. Yeah, essentially.
So if that's the difference, then I think the tariff is better because tariff you have a dated, gradual dated penalty. You don't have to raise it to 100%, either 0 or 100%. We can because you're
never had one lesson.
You have a penalty.
Home run!
National security, and then we may still want to do business if you raise the price and all that, then we can do that. So this is a much flexible tool than the sanction.
I don't think so because again, there's 3 different types of tariffs. 4 actually. You have the IEPA, which is similar to like the sanctions. That was what, and that's the tariffs. That was the blanket one that Trump was doing. That is not good. I don't see that.
Why is it not?
Because again,
Well, I'm just saying that because you said.
well, hold on.
Hold on. Let me pose the question here because you didn't answer the question. So the sanction is either 0
could agree with you that it could be more flexible. The
Hello?
problem is that the current implementation by which was taken was not flexible. You had a minimum, you did not have a minimum tariff at tariff liberation day nor on the existing tariffs until recently, where all the tariffs were administered at least above 25%.
That's a short. But the sanction is even worse because that would be completely.
You can always take it off.
Yeah.
The section you can always remove.
Yeah, completely cutting off the trade.
No, you just cut off the
Infinity. It will be infinite, either zero or infinite time. Right?
No,
I
you can sanction a company.
I can decide where if he sees fit, it's 10% or 25% or 30%, 50%. That's a very flexible.
But then it becomes arbitrary and it creates
What do you mean?
distrust.
Well,
Because when you begin to have a gradient and a variation of tariffs, and it may be on a different product or whatever it is, country of origin of XYZ country.
Show's over.
And you don't have an
What are you still doing here? Show's over.
Trade deals individual.
No,
Brother,
what I'm
so
saying
am I.
is, that's why I'm arguing for trade deals.
Got my tefillin in for the day. I skipped it yesterday. Did it at midnight. Ribbono Shalom.
If you have a trade deal, you are
When was the last time you put on
an
tefillin?
agreement that is binding.
Today?
Enforced,
Ribbono
right?
Shalom.
But when you have a tariff, that's not necessarily a trade
Yes,
deal.
and the
Trump
tariff is
went
the
back.
leverage to get the trade.
Yeah, but Trump
But you're
went
being a
back and
hypocrite. You're
changed his
saying the
tariffs to
tariff
France
can't,
3 or 4 times.
but you're saying
Trump
that a
changed his
tariff
tariffs
can't
to
be.
China 3 or 6 times.
No,
I think you're missing the
point
point.
is,
Trump
you're
went
saying you
back
can't be arbitrary
and changed his
in a
tariffs to
trade
China
deal.
several
But you can be
times.
arbitrary in a trade deal. How can you be arbitrary in a trade deal but not a treaty? And how can you not see
You're
that
not,
the treaty
you
is
did
the
not understand. I said you can be
incentive?
arbitrary in a tariff. I didn't say a trade
Yes,
deal.
but you can decide. You can also be arbitrary in a sanction as
You
well.
said that you could be arbitrary in a trade deal earlier.
No, you missed. No, I said in a trade deal, which is a tariff agreement. I said you have consistency. It is enforced. That is the problem, is that Trump then introduced, and not just Trump, other people did it, arbitrary, like, I'm going to now raise a tariff. Under what condition? What is your justification? Now are you pissed off with me because I didn't vote at the UN Security Council a certain way? Or I'm now going to support X, Y, and Z, and I'm now going to support this, now I'm going to raise your tariff 50%?
So is your opposition to tariffs because of the motive or the incentive?
No, the inconsistency of it being applied.
Can you let
I'm
me
against
ask the
tariffs
question?
because
Can you let
it's a
me
tax.
ask the question first?
Yeah, I said I'm against tariffs again, and I don't have to spell it out to you, William.
Can you let me finish the question?
Passer avec toi, alors, parce que vous êtes très mauvais. Quand tu dis les choses comme ça, vous êtes vachement comme les malades, comme les bêtes.
Finish the question.
No, I told you over and over again. I told you over and over again. It's a tax to our consumers. And our people do not need to have arbitrary possible going down to them. It's a tax to our consumers and our citizens. And they don't need to pay arbitrary. That is why I'm against tariffs. And until you get into your head, William, you just don't like my answer. William, you just don't like my answer. I still feel like a tax. It's a tax to our citizens. And that is it. I do not care what you do. It does not change the Supreme Court decision. It's still a problem. The tariffs are still a problem when it's not applied in a certain way. It's still a problem. William, until you can get to the news, a tariff is still a problem. A tariff is only good when you do it as a Section 301, a 232, or a 122. Okay? William, you're not very bright. Understand what a tariff is?
That's my projection alert, Belle. She just said you're not very bright, William. That's her projection. Hello?
Actually, no, I'm not.
This woman works at Google and is a law professor.
I'm sorry.
Hello?
What do you do for a living?
She can't even have a conversation. Hello?
What do you do for a living?
Ribbono Shalom. They're our followers of the Rebbe.
What do
who say Rabbanu Shalom is extremely useful.
It's
Rabbanu
pretty
Shalom.
simple. You could just be quiet long enough to let me finish the question, which is, are you against the tariffs because of the motivation that somebody uses to apply them, or are you against the tariffs because they are incentive to get a trade deal?
We're going to the
They're
planet
not really
Dune.
a trade deal, to be very
I'm a
transparent.
spice merchant.
If they were, then there would be trade deals in place.
Its surface is barren.
They're not. They were.
Its true strength hidden.
So I'm against tariffs because, again, you asked me the
Its
question.
foreboding desert conceals the power to fold space.
It is a taxation to our citizens or any of the.
To slow time. To send the mind where the body cannot go. It is the source of the ultimate power. It is the deadly battleground where a young leader will emerge to command an army of 6 million warriors against the tyrannical force that threatens to enslave the universe. It is the clash for the greatest prize of all. The planet called Dune. A world beyond your experience, beyond your imagination. The motion picture event you've been waiting for.
Instead of using it to punish countries for what the world considers to be bad behavior, because you're more comfortable calling it a sanction, isn't that kind of like overblowing the word sanction?
No.
Shouldn't we reserve that for countries like
really.
Iran
Not
and
really.
Cuba? No, we should just call it a sanction, right? So let me ask you a follow-up question. So you said why you're against tariffs. So had the tariffs led to trade deals when you claim they didn't, but let's say they had led to trade deals, would that have been a proper incentive to use if it resulted in a trade deal?
No, I said no because in the end, the tariffs rose its cost to the consumers.
Okay.
Wait, what? In the end, it raises the price on consumers. Is that what you said?
Yes.
So basically, your reason for against it is because it raises its tax on the consumer, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the reason.
And Hanson, real quick, I do agree with the fact that they can adjust the price up the stream, right when they sell to right when they have the deal with the seller at the very beginning. But that is rarely done, and it's not done because it cuts into the margin of the tariff is not necessarily always planned. It can be impulsive. It can be whatever the situation is, and that is what causes the margins for companies to fall because they don't have the budget that they usually do.
Price. But if they still survive, they'll do it. So there's no reason that they couldn't do it. And then also your previous reason for being against tariff is because of tax. But the thing is, sanctions is also a tax. So you should be against sanction as well. Right? I don't know. Did you hear me?
Previously, she made the argument it's not taxing the same people, it's taxing the foreigners, not the American citizens. Was her previous
No, but the thing is, that's the same thing, right? We need.
I know. She got really silent, so I was telling you what her answer was before. We're just repeating pattern.
Yeah, I understand, but I want to point out the logical contradiction in that her argument. If she's using that, then sanction basically is infinite percent tariff, and so that will also definitely it will be even more cutting to tax the consumer even more. Because so sanction is basically infinite percent tariff, and then tariff any tariff defined at percent will be better than the infinite percent.
I don't agree again because the tariffs is paid. Like I said, I do believe, like I said, you can have a sanction, and it can also affect or ban a company that you don't think is doing good business. Or it can also impact and influence a country to have a positive behavior. The tariffs, though, in the end, when you roll out a tariff, and I will continue to uphold this, it ends up impacting adversely the consumer in the importing country.
So
That's
how does
Hang on, Hanson or William, can I ask a question? Hanson or William can answer this. What if the price of products, let's just say America?
Free market.
Okay, and so for prices, if we limit something, if you put sanctions on something and limit the number of versus let's just say it's eggs. We basically have, let's just say we sanction the country that's got sending eggs to America, right? We sanction, and now we have a limited supply of eggs. What happens to the price of the eggs?
That's exactly my point. Because sanction is
They go up.
the tariff, infinite percent tariff, and the other finite tariff would be less than infinite. So
but that's not necessarily the case because when you sanction a company because of behavior
Why
that
do you
you
keep saying
feel, it
sanction a
doesn't.
company? Why?
Or a country, you can sanction a company and a country. You can.
We've sanctioned a company.
You can sanction a company. They're on an entity list. That's what they call sanction. You have a sanctions list of entities. You can look it up. So when you do that, there's still a limited amount of other choices out there. So eggs, you don't always have to get eggs at one source. So what I'm saying is that I understand your argument, Ice, makes sense. However, because of the diversity of the market, it is not a blanket from, let's say, we're cheese that comes from France or whatever the selection of cheese. It's not everything, absolutely everything that is coming in that's been selected that comes into from France that we're now going to do an increase at 40%. Right? It's not, and the cheese is not. It's not applied equally. Or what I'm saying is that there's an issue there, and you have other choices, but it hurts those consumers that when you have a tariff at 40% for France on their cheese, they're now going to pay a 40% augmented price.
well, your same argument applies.
Eat American cheese.
The same argument applies.
Go ahead, William.
When the supply of cheese goes away, you can always seek other sources of cheese. The same argument applies. And then the sanction is basically the infinity percent. The consumer pays the price even higher than the 40% tariff.
I still disagree, but I apologize. It's now 1:30 my time. I've got to get to bed. I disagree. I disagree because
So, one
it's
last
not
question. Have
because
we ever
some
sanctioned a country but a company but not a country?
Hold on.
Have we ever sanctioned a company but not a country?
For this,
you can sanction. We didn't sanction fully China, but we sanctioned
Tell
Huawei.
us a company we've
No,
sanctioned.
what I'm saying is we didn't sanction China, but we sanctioned Huawei.
Okay,
Right?
So let's put it whether it's industry A, right? Industry A or company A, it doesn't matter. So sanction is basically no trade whatsoever. This is equivalent to applying infinity percent tariff. And then we call tariff is we put 40% tariff. How does the 40% tariff is a higher tax on the consumer than the infinity percent tariff on the consumer?
Repeat your question.
Cheese is
I said,
number one
yeah,
producer of
let's
cheese
say
in the
it doesn't
world.
matter. Cheese company
But
or cheese
we're
industry
number one
from
producer of
one
cheese in
country,
the world, so we
Yeah,
can produce.
confine this question, right? Cheese company, the French cheese company, one particular French cheese company, we can apply sanction on this French cheese company, and then the other option is 40% tariff on this French cheese company. How does the
Who cut the cheese?
Is worse than applying sanction, which is infinity percent tariff on this cheese company? How's it higher tax on this?
I'm going to go back to our original argument. Very good question. Your original argument was that if they had bad actors, right, that acted adversely to the national security or other concerns of the country, of our country, then your goal is to either have punitive measures. So that means you punish them either with the sanctions, but doing a tariff, again, because you're directly punishing the company versus punishing our consumers that may have the augmented
price.
But
the thing is, a company is.
I gave you the response. You may not like it.
Well, sure,
that is my response. But I have to go. It's 11:30. It's 1:30 my time. Sorry, I've got to get to work in the morning. It's 1:30 my.
Why would anyone want to interact with her?
She's escaping. I mean, guys, don't. I'm trying to back her into a corner. Don't mess it up.
Yeah, you have way more patience than the rest of us.
Yeah, but the thing is,
your tone didn't even go up. Like, damn, dude, you were the best.
Yeah, where's William? Hold on, let me finish.
Yeah.
Because I want to. How you back someone into a corner? You set up a question that is very clear cut, and then it makes no sense. Stand all the exits and see how your opponent wiggle and squirm. But that takes a little bit of time. So please, because but she I think she's already feeding the heat, so that's why she is here.
Yeah, I know. I do the same. Ice does the same. We had backed her into corners, multiple corners all night long before you came in, right? So, but yeah, because she just wanted to chill.
Yeah, because if you not setting up this cage and leave all the exit open, and then your opponent can squeeze through and in and out and then out. There's no way. It's like what do you call it? Hitting a whack-a-mole. Yes, whack-a-mole. You need to playing you close all the exit and slowly, squeeze it.
Yeah, so that's what my point earlier. I mean, we were talking. She goes, "Well, we can't manufacture," and I think as William was trying to explain how many trillions, and the reason, since this is what I love, is when they say, "Show me proof, show me." You literally had leaders of countries standing there saying, "We're going to do this." Now it takes time. What they don't understand is you got to get permitting, licensing. You got to buy land. You got the infrastructure to put in. It takes time to get this done. They think this stuff happens overnight, right? Number one. Number two, they're also very aware that in America, everybody had loved this earlier when the truth and everybody was trying to argue. Oh, I bet you money that it flips at the halfway point. Every president it does. It's only not done it like twice. So it's like, are we really hedging our bets on that? And all it takes is Trump to do one thing that really surprises people, opens people up, shocks people, something in the right moment. Maybe he exposes something, and then people are like, okay, I like him. The political.
Shutting down the cartels in Mexico, freeing Iran, and a GDP that's at 6,
right?
And a CPI that's at 2.
So William, I don't know if you were on before when I said that we had a discussion, and I said, listen, if they were complaining about when he'd said something about going after the cartels in Mexico, and I said, listen, this woman, if she's smart, she has to come out and say, you can't do that. But meanwhile, she gets on the phone and says, let's do this. But I have to publicly be against you or they'll kill me in 2 seconds.
Of course.
Yes. So she clearly did exactly what I said and said, help us. Give us the intelligence. That way it doesn't necessarily look like you're involved, which we shouldn't have even exposed that we were. We shouldn't have even said that we had intelligence to give it to them. We should have just let them have the glory. But, they can't do that. We got to open our mouths over here.
Yeah, that's Trump. Come on. You think Trump would do that?
Right, exactly. It should have been silenced. But here's the deal. They make one mistake, kill an American. You remember what he said last time? They killed an American family in a van, if I remember right. And they gave the cartel like 48 hours to hand somebody over who did it. And they did. They handed over like 2 or 3 guys because they were like, we don't want these guys coming across the border. And they knew Trump would. And trust me, if they do harm somebody down there ain't going to be an ask. It will be Trump. And clearly, right now, I guarantee you, and before, drones are flying over. They're tracking people just like they knew where Maduro was, just like they knew where Bin Laden was. They monitor these guys. They know what clothes they're wearing. Like, they literally rebuilt the house, that Maduro was in a train in. This stuff is crazy, the intelligence that they got. And
for sure,
it's going to get quick. And so now, but the only thing is we also got to remember that side of the aisle, they literally were out in the street protesting no kings, no dictators. And then we took out a dictator and they said, release the dictator so he can go back and dictate the people who were celebrating that he was no longer dictator. And it was limited in Venezuela, but those people came out and said, why? Their families were here down in Miami. It was like a World Cup event, man. They were partying, celebrating. Literally. The Colombians that I know very closely want America to go in and get rid of the guy that's in there because the cartels are now or the guerrillas are taking root again.
Well, they were celebrating too because the amount of Venezuelans that are in Colombia, Peru, even in Chile, all 3 of those countries were secretly like, yes, because they have a huge problem with Venezuelans migrating to their country and causing all kinds of issues that we would link to our illegal immigration.
Right. And the one thing I laughed at is somebody was on here was arguing about we gave Argentina $23 billion. And I was like, it wasn't just a gift. We're getting beef exchange. Well, why don't we have our own beef? Because beef in America, the cost has gone through the roof. I mean, we're paying for burger what we used to pay for steaks, right? So we can bring in Argentinian beef, and that's a way that they can pay us back for the $23 billion. Because if we didn't do it, China would.
Okay, do you know why our beef is so high? There's 4 companies that basically do all of the meat packing. 2 of them are run by Brazil. And the 2 that do it control our beef industry. And it's not the price of the cow, it's the price of the slaughterhouse because the Brazilians are manipulating it.
And I can believe that, I mean, right now there's a massive, Smithfield's actually moving one of their plants, and it's a multi-billion-dollar deal. But, of course, they're moving it from a downtown point in that city. It's where I'm from, actually, where I moved here from. And this, Denny Sanford gave like $50 million to buy the area and it would be a great area once they move that out of there. But now you've got people who are upset, but they didn't want to let that out of the state just because of the economic impact of that plant, because Smithfield, as you know, is freaking huge, but they're owned by a Shanghai group, if I remember right.
That's the third one is owned by China. Hanson, I got a question for you. And for you guys, did you guys hear a few weeks ago, Trump said, hey, if you are in the Chinese government or military and you want to come talk to the CIA, we're like open for business. Did you guys hear that little blip?
Yeah, it's advertisements specifically directed at John.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so do you think there was a link between that and a week later, the purge?
Well,
do you think maybe there was a coup afoot and he caught wind of it?
Yeah, I don't think it's because of that. This is like this is one thing in the whole operation. I mean, this is. I mean, the thing is, it basically sows suspicion among the high officials in China and all that. So, I mean. I don't think that is the one that precipitated that. It must be just one of many big operations. So it does. I mean, it's a convergence or confluence of many events. And then, of course, Xi Jinping is a very suspicious person, and he basically purged everybody in the military commission, the high military commission. So it was one guy who's doing we call it political stuff. All the professional military men have been purged.
Reminded me of when the Iranian president went to Azerbaijan, and then suddenly when he came back, he got offed, which seemed highly suspicious to me. Like maybe we had met with him and had something going on. Like I talked to a friend of mine who's from Hong Kong, and we were theorizing that perhaps there was a coup afoot, and that he got wind of it. Or it's like you're saying, he just got extremely paranoid and had been wanting to do it for a while and felt like he had an excuse.
Yeah, there could be. There's a lot of rumor about the rumor swirling around about coup attempts and everything, and counter coups and everything. So yeah, I mean, nobody knows exactly what's happening, but definitely Xi Jinping's position is weakening, and he's taking out all the whole military high commission.
Yeah, I keep praying for a revolution. Tiananmen Square Part 2, 2.0.
All the generals, not only the commission, all the generals, we've got 4-star generals, 3-star, 2 stars, and he took out like the whole high commands of the rocket force 1 or 2 years ago.
Yeah, I remember that. Thanks for your opinion. I respect your opinion, and I'm going to ask a legal question about the ruling from the Supreme Court, but I don't think she's still.
Jenny from the block.
Yo, I ain't never heard him speak. It's like a ghost. What the fuck? Like a fucking phantom. That's crazy. Yo, J-Lo. Are you being held hostage? Why can't you speak freely?
Hello?
Huh?
I'm afraid my karma will go down for a terrible joke.
Nah, go ahead. Just say it.
No, I already did, and now I feel like bad about it. And it's not just because of.
About that.
This is the one where he's on a talk show and his daughter is sitting next to him, and they asked, "What do you have in common, Ivanka, with your dad?" She said golf and something else. Then they asked Trump, what do you have in common? He goes, "If I said sex, that'd be awkward."
Wait, what did you say?
I remember that.
Yeah.
What did you say?
He said, so they asked, what do you guys have in common with Wonder? That was Howard Stern was different. Howard Stern was talking about her body and how she's a sexy piece of ass. This is when she was a kid. So they asked Ivanka, what do you have in common with your dad? And she said golf and something else. And they asked Trump, and Trump said, sex. If I said sex, that'd be awkward.
Wait, before we confirm
I
it,
don't even know what that means.
Wait, couple.
Yeah, like she brought up one thing and then one thing another.
That's what he said.
Confirm this is true. Before we confirm if he actually said this or not, do you guys think that's disgusting? Before we confirm it's true.
Yeah, we don't know what the context is. I'm gonna go check it out.
Yeah,
What's
sure.
the context?
I think
No,
I'm
gonna say no.
That's all there is to it.
Because
If there's a context,
because
then
there was
I'd like
a
to
if.
hear it. But if that's it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because the problem was she kind of hit the bait and switch, right? So she provided like the scenario that we've already discussed.
Can you play that? It's almost got it.
Just hold on.
It was an awkward rebuttal.
No, so like she provided like the whole dating thing, like the View interview, right? So then when we start talking about that, she hit us with the bait and switch, and then brought something else. Come on, bro. And then brought something else up that we weren't even talking about. So now we have to kind of
giving you
So
instances.
this is cringe.
come on, lady.
This is
Come on, lady. She's the. What do you mean cringe? She's the one who brought up the whole View interview in the first place.
No, I'm saying that. Wait. You're saying like. Okay,
I'm saying Ace brought up the interview.
Well, let me ask you something. How could that be contextualized in a way where it's not like as weird as it comes off?
Oh, that's not all right. So
I'm saying,
so you're talking about the
This was a Wendy
Okay.
Williams show.
so you're talking about the switch?
you said you need context, right?
All right. So yes, maybe you're not hearing me. So what I'm saying is,
No, I'm not hearing
Ace.
you loud and clear.
All right. So Ace brought up the dating one for the View. We all start talking about that.
I think someone else
And then
brought
she,
that up.
like-
What we're talking about.
Hold on. No, we're not.
No,
because
when
on
someone
the
brought
View-
up the View, I thought they meant this one of you.
We're talking about the interview she just
This
talked
was-
about.
Yeah, so sorry, this one wasn't on the View. Sorry, this was on Wendy Williams. I thought it was a View.
All right.
It is
So she mentioned the View.
It's
always Come on, but yeah. So she
hear that tonality? Can we just hear it?
Yeah, she mentioned the View. She mentioned the dating. Now she's switching it to something about sex
Right.
and Wendy
Hold on.
Williams. Do we agree that that's what happened?
That's not.
Well, okay, what happened?
So like, here's what happened, right?
No.
Yeah, what happened, brother? Let's see how good you can
Here's what
try.
happened. She brought up sex. I interjected on dating. Like, who would you date that you wouldn't have sex with, right? That's how we started talking about the interview where he mentioned dating. But she was consistently emphasizing the sex term that she was referring to. Now taking place is instead of addressing right. So like instead of addressing the fact that he said he has sex in common with his daughter, you want to quibble about which talk show he said it on.
No, just keep it on the time.
Hey, did you bring up the dating to your daughter?
Hold on. Does it matter the way in which this occurred? Can we just look at what you said and then you get to give us thoughts? Because you said there's context to what you said.
Hey, hold on. So
You
this
still
is
want to defend him with
Hold
the
on, hey,
And I'm alright saying no.
hey, all I'm saying is we are having a recollection, like session here. Somebody
Okay, we don't-
tracking a
We're
building.
not having a recollection session. We're not.
Just hold on, bro. Somebody's tracking has been questioned, and I'm
No,
just
but we're talking
wondering.
about how
if
egregious
you-
he is. I
Fuck, bro.
example.
Hey, when I told you that we're doing something here, obviously you're not a part of that.
Everyone's
so
saying that they're not
just
doing
asking
this.
He's gonna take the
Okay, but I'm participating
What
too,
is
so like
with this dude?
we are.
What the
He's
fuck
trying
do
to
you
find
think we're
out
running away
what happened.
from?
Okay, can somebody just read
You're
the...
talking about something that's irrelevant. Can we get
No.
What
But
the
Louis
fuck?
doing the experiment.
This nigga Luca thinks that he's tracking well. I'm pointing out that this nigga's not tracking well.
Oh my god. You're running away. Why? From what?
Why can't I just kill this nigga first before I kill you, bro?
Because we're gonna come back here. You're never gonna come back to the point. You're gonna jump to the next point. That's what you do. It's your style.
Bro,
Don't-
if
don't-
I'm
Okay,
acknowledging that both
can
points
we please confirm if it was
Oh,
a...
come on,
Don't get
bro.
Can we first confirm if it's or not at the
Go on to
context?
the next thing and never-
Yeah. Let's just go back to the context because this will
Do
be
you want to
like,
play it?
they can't
Can you play
parse.
it? Or did you want?
somebody
Wait, hold on.
Who said what when? Who said this?
Look,
Who said
because
that?
that's important. Louis just asked
Wait,
that.
I put the article in the chat. I hear
I thought she was tracking. All right, hold on. I'm gonna go ahead. Bro, can I give my point? Thank you.
You good?
No. Okay, hold on, nigga. What the fuck? Just chill, Luca. Just chill. Okay. No. All it was a sassy ass, awkward, white rebuttal janitor joke shit. So no, it's not fucking weird. Y'all act like y'all ain't never been around white people before.
They
really
have.
They really the fuck happen. What world do y'all live in?
You're normalizing this behavior.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
What?
This is coping.
Y'all are trolling around.
Well, right now, Dawn
not
is
trolling.
saying
A lot of people.
This is coping.
I'm really worried.
A lot of people live in ghettos, bro. What do you think?
Guys, can I read it?
Yeah, that's what I'm starting to think, bro.
Can I read it?
No, don't read it. Play it. We need to hear the tone. We need to hear inflections and shit.
Thank you. We need to hear the context.
Yes, we need to hear the tone because tone is going to give context.
What does an inflection do to that?
And everything.
No idea how to say
It makes an inference towards it being a joke
somebody
or a
else.
sassy, and it attaches
Who makes
the
a
food to it.
joke about
Stop. Weird people. I know it's weird. I'm not denying that it is.
Ace don't know shit, man. She ain't American, bro.
All
What you talking
white
about?
people are weird.
From Pakistan,
To
man.
me.
Oh God, I'm not from Pakistan, little bitch.
Oh shit. Well, she ain't from Pakistan. Yeah.
This interview was in 2013,
Not there.
13 years ago.
Not there either. What the fuck?
That's
India.
27 years old, right?
She from Rochester. Anyway, look. All I'm saying is,
So this is 11 years later. She's 35 years old at the time. Is that accurate? She's not a little girl, right, Ace?
Listen. So, what do you mean? This is somehow better?
Just hold on.
Oh my
She was a little
He's
girl.
made comments when she was a little girl. There's multiple
Hold on.
comments.
You made it.
No, I'm saying we were talking about different things.
Hold on.
We were
Come on.
talking
You
about
made it
different
right.
things.
Hey,
Different
you made a
instances.
claim.
He's made comments about her when she was
Did
a
she
little
make a
girl.
claim that this?
Fucking right. You make a claim this is how it goes. Is she 35 is the motherfucking
I
time
don't
or
know
not?
how old she is right now. I don't
Well, find out.
But she
Hold on,
is his
come
daughter.
on. Come on, hold on.
Did she make the claim that this bolstered the claim that he's a pedophile? Did she make that claim?
No,
He's
he made it.
creepy.
Hold
What
on.
are we talking about?
Hold on. She made a claim about the
The law is
specific
like
interview.
making it more
Shut the
complex.
fuck up, bro.
I think it-
Why don't you allow
Ace
Ace to speak, bro? Why don't you just shut the
You
fuck
don't
up and
allow
let
Ace
Ace
to
speak?
speak. Bro,
So
why
when
you
Ace
She's
brought
running
up this
away.
specific, when Ace brought up this specific interview, she mentioned Ivanka Trump is there and that
It's his
she
daughter.
was a kid.
No,
I
oh
don't
my
recall
God.
calling
You're a fucking.
So now you never brought up that she was a
No,
kid.
it said that she.
No, she
that was
didn't.
his
Why are you
daughter.
bringing
No, she
that?
didn't. No, she didn't. She
We talked
Well,
about
she did
we
not.
talked about
You're a
the
liar,
talked
bro.
Bro,
She
just
said
shut
she
up.
was
Get the
a
fuck out
little
the way.
girl
You're just a liar, bro.
sitting next to him. A little girl sitting next to him.
That's what the
She
fuck she
fucking
said,
did.
bro. That's what the fuck she said.
We talked about
No.
different. Hold on.
She wasn't a little girl in the fucking View interview either.
Wait, who said little girl?
Her.
You're a fucking liar, bro.
What
Never
the
said little
fuck,
girl.
bro?
It's actually so
As soon as,
No, I'm a fucking liar.
bro. As soon as this nigga Luca
You're
said,
fucking
I
protecting
remember
what
that.
and for what?
Hey, can you
Who
hold on?
are you protecting? You're calling me a fucking liar. Who the fuck are you protecting?
So
Okay,
when
hold
she
on.
was,
Why are you calling people liars?
That wasn't
hey, hey,
the
can you hold on
time.
for a
That
second?
was the time. we
No
talked
one's
about-
fucking lying.
Hey,
Ask
hey,
me
Don,
who
can you,
said
Don,
that.
can you hold on? Hold on.
We talked over
Hey,
each
hey,
other.
this is horrible.
Hold on.
No, you can just
The
hold on
time
real
when he
quick.
said something sexual about his daughter
Hold
wasn't here.
on, hold on.
Here you go.
Just
I'll
real
give you
quick.
that article. There you go.
So when you were providing this is when Lucas started to chime in. Oh, I remember that. Fuck, nigga, can you hold on, bro?
Can we just?
Can you hold on, bro? Like, I'm pointing out the point in time when she mentioned that Ivanka Trump was sitting right by him and she was a little girl. This is when this nigga Luca was like, oh, shit, I do remember this. She's right.
Say little girl.
Fuck, nigga. She just acknowledged that she fucking
Okay,
did.
hold on
She
for a
was talking
second.
about
Hold on.
something
We
different.
talked about various. It's the one guy with the little girl. That's when he was with Marla Maples and he talked about.
Oh, so she did.
That's when she was
mention
1
that
year old.
fucking
That was
dumbass
when she
nut.
was girl. That I never mentioned it, but there is instance that you want to bring up
Clearly
babies.
not.
So she,
That's not what I mentioned. But I can give you an instance if you really want to use it.
You gotta chill, bro. You gotta chill.
It's clearly not the interview.
if she brought up the first name,
It's clearly not the interview. Thing.
Go about it. So
Good night, my darling. Good night, my dear.